Hi, and welcome back to Whitetail Acres Farm. This year we are on the quest for the ultimate garden. We found the ideal location right behind our house, and we are in the process of building ourselves a 3,000 square foot garden. We already added organic compost to this area, and now we're just rototilling it all one last time before we start rolling out the weed barrier and getting it all set up. For the weed barrier, we prefer this polypropylene woven fabric barrier. We used it last year and it worked like a charm. We are trying to reuse some of our barrier from last year in this garden, but we bought some additional fabric because we're going to be expanding our garden. In this garden space, we're also going to be utilizing a greenhouse. It's a temporary greenhouse that I'm going to put together, and we're going to have an addition to growing plants in the ground outside around the greenhouse. We have several raised beds that we made that we had in last year's garden where we grew our potatoes, and we're taking them from the old garden to this new garden, and I'm going to put them inside of the greenhouse. So I put them in place, and now I'm going to build the greenhouse around the raised beds. That way they're already in place and ready to go, and it'll be really easy to construct the greenhouse. In this garden area, we're trying to maximize the space as much as possible. I know 3,000 square feet is quite a bit, but we want to grow as much as we possibly can. So in addition to the greenhouse and growing some vegetables in the ground, I'm also going to be putting up these cattle panels all around the perimeter of the garden space where I can also grow vertically some squash. We're going to try growing our own loofahs. We'd like some pumpkins, green beans, peas, cucumbers, and a couple other really great things. So we're putting those together now. And just like that, you can see the garden space is already coming together. We have the cattle panels up, the greenhouse is already constructed, the beds are in place. We are really moving along. To secure the weed barrier to the ground, we like using these galvanized steel garden staples. Now, one cool thing that we learned with this type of weed barrier is that instead of using a knife to cut the holes where we want to plant our plants, we actually use a torch to burn the holes. This will singe the weed barrier fabric, and it will fuse it together so that way it won't fray. This will allow the weed barrier to stay intact longer and will survive the whole growing season. Another thing that I like about using the torch to make the holes is that it allows for a much cleaner and neater presentation. You can see the perfectly lined rows here. It looks beautiful, and it's all ready for planting. Now, having the cattle panel around the perimeter of the garden allows us to maximize the space and grow as much produce as we possibly can in our garden area, but it does not deter the deer. The deer are a big problem in our area, especially on our property. We have woods against a portion of our fields. And you may recall from a previous video, we actually lost our entire corn crop last year because of the deer. So, in order to make this the ultimate garden, we are going to be putting deer netting around the whole outside perimeter of the garden. So if you can visualize it, it'll be the garden space with the greenhouse, then the cattle panel around it, and then netting around the outside of that, enclosing everything and protecting it. Step back so you can actually record. Building the deer fencing is posing to be the most tedious and labor-intensive part of this whole garden build. We have to put posts on all four corners secured by concrete to keep them as sturdy as possible, and then we have to put additional posts in between the corners on all four sides. This will allow the fencing to be able to hold the weight of the deer netting. The deer netting is 7 feet tall, and this garden, like mentioned, is 3,000 square feet, so it's about 50 feet by 60 feet, which is quite an extensive span for the netting. So we need to make sure that the posts are able to hold the weight of the netting and keep it up and protect the garden area from the deer. Now that all the posts are in place, the only things left to get done are building the gate so we can enter the garden area, putting the netting up, and then doing the planting and the maintaining of the garden throughout the summer. We're really excited to get this project finished, but this was a lot to do in one day, so we are going to call it a day here, and we will continue this on the next video where you can see the completion of the garden and everything that we're planting in it. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you on the next one.